Well, we are here this afternoon with Sherrie LeMier Potts. Sherrie, first of all, let me just say thank you for allowing us to spend some time together. Thank you for allowing us to tell your story to the people of Alabama. And congratulations on being named a Woman of Impact.
Well, Allison, it is such an honor, and I really do appreciate everything that you at Yellowhammer do. I'm a very big fan of the website, and I've been following the Women of Impact for the past 3 years, and you've honored some fantastic women, and I just appreciate being a part of this year's class.
Wonderful. Well, I always like to start at the beginning.
Okay.
Your career at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Alabama spanned nearly 2.5 decades, and you've just had
Yes.
some compelling roles and leadership positions there. You were the CFO and treasurer, the president of the government division, a senior vice president, so just an incredible amount of service to the company. But before Blue Cross, what role are you most proud of?
Well, actually, I guess I would say the time that I served, and I worked at U.S. Steel in the summertime while I was going to college. And that really taught me that I wanted to work in accounting. I did not want to be I needed to go back to school, for lack of a better word. Now, I was making more money because I was working a union job. And my dad had gotten me that job, and I told my father that I wanted to go, I didn't want to go back to school. I was making, $20 an hour back in 1975. And that was wonderful money. And well, he fired me. And and had the authority to do that. So I learned so much from that. I learned hard work, metatarsal shoes and hard hats and all of that. And but that also allowed me to get the jobs that I had leading up to. I worked at Steelcase Corporation, and I was a cost accountant there. And I worked at Square D Corporation, and I was a cost accountant there. And I actually worked out in the factory. So all of that, even though that that time at U.S. Steel was a summer job, that allowed me to build up to that. But really realized at that point in time, I didn't want to be out in a hot factory anymore. And I had the opportunity to interview at Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and was very thankful for that time. And I got that job in late 85, started in 86, and was just so fortunate to get that job. It was a wonderful company, and was just proud to be there.
What was it about that corporate environment and your work in accounting and finance that kept you motivated throughout your career and throughout the longevity of your time there?
Well, one of the things that there was always something changing during the times we were there. We had new general ledger systems going on. We had the federal employment program that was there. We had the state of Alabama insurance program. We had the federal employees program, I said that. And we also had the teachers union that was there. And being able to account for those was just really important. But as I think I mentioned to you in the responses to my questions, is that I was just really excited about being able to account for those. But it was Terry Kellogg who told me that, Sherrie, you just have to realize that these numbers are just not numbers, they're people. And when I realized that, it was like a light bulb went off in my head. And so it made me realize that the numbers on these income statements were, people were really writing checks out of their checkbook to pay premiums. And when we were writing checks to pay a hospital, these were people who were sick. And so it was more than just me, doing a balance sheet or doing an income statement. These were people's lives that we were dealing with. And it really became more of a service at that point that I felt. And that's what really kept me motivated at the time. You wanted to be real careful with the claims you were paying, making sure they were right, making sure the hospital was paid appropriately, but also making sure that the income was appropriate too, because you didn't want to overbill somebody, but you also wanted to make sure that people's claims were, that their income was posted properly so they could get their claims paid. So it was all a just a whole ball that had to work together. That statement that those numbers were people just changed everything I ever did. And as I mentioned to you before, that was all came back from Mr. Mandy, was where it was customer first. And being an accountant, you didn't realize that because you weren't around the marketing folks, you weren't around the customer service folks, you weren't around them. You were just stuck over in your little hole in accounting, just with your 10 keypad running your numbers. But it was that was what kept me motivated, was that those numbers were people, and that you were able to service the organization and therefore the people by delivering those numbers.
So Sherrie, what has been the primary guiding principle that has just been instrumental throughout your success in business?
I would say my faith guides me a lot, being true to that. And through that comes integrity. And that was one of the things my dad told me, is that never lose it. Nobody can take it away from you. Make every decision that you have with integrity, and make your decisions based on fact and not emotion. And because in jobs that you're in, specifically at the level that I was in, it could have been so easy to make so many decisions on emotion. And because there's so many employees involved and so many people involved, and if you let your heartstrings start making your decisions, then you'll mess up. Because then you'll treat this person different from that person and this person different from that person. But if you make your decisions on facts when you're dealing with employees, then it's black and white, and there it is, and it's all documented. So that was one of the things that kept me honest and true when dealing with my employees, was making my decisions on fact and not emotions. And like I said, the integrity part was, for me, is knowing that I was true to myself. Is I could walk in every day knowing that I did a good job, that I treated everybody fairly, I was honest with everybody, I didn't mislead anybody in any way, I didn't turn anybody in the wrong path, I wasn't part of the water cooler talk, I wasn't part of this. And I tried not to become part of the water cooler talk. And because and I was one of the first 2 women that were in that senior arena. And so you just don't want to, you want to be one of the guys, I guess you could say, but you don't want to be one of the guys. It's kind of a mixed play there. But it's hard to say anything other than those 2 pieces, but they go hand in hand, because through my faith came my integrity. And so if I'm true to myself and true to everything else, my integrity will follow. And the only person that can give it up is me.
So you mentioned about being one of the only women in the room, at that point in your career, and in that point in your career's trajectory. How would you say the role of women changed in the workplace from the beginning of your career through the end?
Oh my, it's changed tremendously. It's changed tremendously, and I'm just so proud of that. Year by year, I would see more women being recognized for what they did. And it was not just because they were women, it was just because they were smart. And we had more women in lower management positions at that point in time anyway. So when job promotions would come up, they would compete, and Blue Cross never, would say, okay, I'm just going to hire this person because he's a man. They hired the best person for the job. And it just so happens, well, that's a woman. So it was organic. and it just grew. And we kept seeing more and more and more women in higher places. And when I left in the senior officer position, we had, out of 9 senior officers, we had 4 that were women. And so it was just, it, like I said, it just wasn't organic. Wasn't any one thing that any one person did. And it wasn't any one thing that anybody told anybody to do. Oh, we need more women over here, or we need more women over here. It was an organic growth. And and that was the same thing with any type, race, creed, color, men or women, anything. So, yeah.
It's great to see it. So you've you made it a priority to give back by teaching and mentoring others. And it seems like one of the areas that you have focused on is workplace etiquette. Why is behavior in the workplace so important?
Well, for me, it's, behavior in the workplace has changed in the 35 now years. Well, actually, I graduated from college in 1979. So we're talking 40 plus years in the workplace. And as I said, you remember that I told you I started out working in college in 1975 in the steel mills as a girl. And, so you can only imagine, what I got, and everything. But still, what my father told me, that's where he told me going into there, you have your integrity. Don't let them take it away from you. So, but and I don't want to, necessarily get off on the Me Too movement or anything such as that, because I was never a part of that, and I think it was how I handle myself on a day-to-day. Never put myself in a position to be a part of that. Never was around any men who were a part of that. So I was fortunate in my career that was never a position, that never thing happened to me. But with workplace etiquette for women is as from 1979 to now, 2020, those times have now changed and grown. But you've had to be so cautious in the early years, as, if you were, I had my own rules, if, that my father taught me, as my father was a businessman and smartest man I know, and it's some of the Mike Pence rules, I guess you could say too, is that I was a single woman at the time, and, don't go out to lunch with a married man of the opposite sex, or if it was if you had a different sexual preference, anybody of your same sexual preference, if they're married, just don't do it. And don't go out for a drink with anybody from your office of the opposite sex or your preferred sex. And it was just because you didn't want to be part of the gossip talk. And specifically as you first start in a job. Now, as you grow and people know you and you become more, seasoned in your office, that can change. But it's specifically in the first year. You have to let yourself be known. And women need to be known for their brains and not their bodies. And young high school girls, young college girls, some of them, you're not in T-Town anymore, And if you think you look in the mirror and you walk out and you think that skirt's too short, it probably is. And I don't know if you can edit this out, you might. Diane Harrison allowed me to have my name of my my program was no butts, no booze, no boys, and no bras. Nothing could show. That was the name of it. So your first year, you didn't date at work. You didn't show your butt. You didn't show your boobs and all that. So just when you walk out, look at yourself and you say, what would my mama say if she saw me in this dress? So you just had to ask yourself those questions. And because you wanted to be seen as a lady. So dress for the job you wanted, not for the job you had. And if that meant wearing a suit when everybody else around you was wearing pants, then wear a suit. I wore a suit every day, never wore a pair of pants to work. Suit, pantyhose, and pumps for the entire 32 years I worked at Blue Cross. Even though we still had implemented casual days and no, I still wore pumps and pantyhose. It was just me. It is just how I dressed. So, and but for me, that's just who I was. But for these young ladies, I felt so much of a role model for them, the young ones coming up. And I mentored a lot of them at the office as well, probably about 10 who were very strong and needed some guidance just in office behavior and different things such as that. And they're fabulous these days. They've gone places, and they're going to continue to go places, and I'm just real proud of them. And also the young ladies that I dealt with even at Culver House Connections too. So, and had the opportunity to work with a young man as well when they added men to the Culver House Connections. So, but the role of the young woman is now a lot different than it was. Now that you're into the 21st century, and it's past 1995, a lot of stuff has changed. And so I think women are in the better position that they've ever been in the workplace environment. And so I'm proud of that.
You mentioned how important it is to be in tune with your own integrity and to be yourself. How does that translate into the hiring process? Any advice on folks who are entering the business world or trying to advance in the business world that may not look great on paper? Any advice on how those types of things translate to young people trying to enter their careers?
Well, certainly, of course, because one of the things that I began looking for, and even we began as a whole on the government side looking for, was a value system. And because you can look at a lot of resumes that have like a 2.9, even a 3.2, and then you can look at the resumes that have the 4.0 and look at community activities, see what this person has been involved in, and what, where, do they do any extra stuff like in service, philanthropy service or whatever. They may not do anything. This person may be involved with the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts. They may serve at a soup kitchen. They may do this. This person has some stuff going on over here, and you have to kind of feed into the stuff about coming to work on time, because people don't get fired for what they know. They get fired for what they do. So when you can teach somebody, if say you've got two equal people that both have an accounting degree, and this one has this person on this side has the lesser of the GPA, but the higher community activities, the better value system, as you called it. This one has the higher GPA, smart as a whip, running out the clock, but no community activities, nothing to show on paper other than he's just smart as a whip. I would hire this person because of the value system that this one has shown me. Now, it may take me some time to train this person, but when dealing with this person, I want to find out, why do you want this job? What did you learn from your last job and all that? Because it has to be a fit on both sides. As I mentioned to Tim, the interview process is much like a date. the blind date is I get to know you, you get to know me, and we're going to find out what we like about each other. And because you got to like me as much as I got to like you, or otherwise it's not going to work. And so it's not just, I'm just going to hire you just so you can have a job. And so our last year of hires, we found some great ones. And so that value system hire of coming to work on time, being responsive, and listening and learning, and being able to help others, and that helping others outside of the office also led to helping others inside the office as well. So, yeah.
One final question. What piece of advice would you give to a young female who is interested in pursuing a similar career as yours?
Oh, I would tell them do it. I had the most fun in my life. If I could go back 35 years, I'd do it again. If I knew then what I know now, whew, I could conquer the world. As a matter of fact, my daughter's best friend just graduated in accounting, and she just passed her CPA. And I've been so proud of her. She's been my daughter's friend since 6th grade. And so we talked just about this very same thing, and she just got her job with Coca-Cola. And so we've talked all about everything I just told you about, being true to yourself, make sure you maintain your integrity, all of these things. And, and when you go into your meetings, making sure that you uplift your boss, making sure you listen to your boss. She doesn't have any people reporting to her right now, but she is running projects. So there's a deal when you're running projects, you make sure you listen, get everybody's input. You're just not you're not the only one in that room. Projects are a team. So we're working on all the aspects of that. And so we're real excited about that. And so there's all sorts of nuances that it takes to survive in the business world. And but I still go back to that one word, is to maintain your integrity in the business world. Because if you do, it will be known everywhere. And because you can walk in a room and meet anyone, and they'll take your call, and they'll, it's like, that's, you get invited on boards, or and that's one of the things I'm real proud of now, is because of the reputation that I had at Blue Cross. I'm able to continue to serve on these boards even after I left Blue Cross, although a lot of them were Blue Cross board seats, if that makes sense, for lack of a better word. But I'm still able to serve because of the reputation I had while I was at Blue Cross. And so I'm excited about that. So
That's great. That's great. Well, Sherrie, thank you for spending some time with us today. Thank you for sharing just these wonderful pearls of wisdom and advice, and being a role model for folks in the business community. And congratulations again as being named a Woman of Impact.
Well, thank you so much, Alice. It's been great spending time with you this afternoon. Thank you.